This page is the front cover for Volume 15 of 64 magazine, promoting itself as your ticket to Nintendo action. It's boasting about a free Mystical Ninja solution book, a decent enough freebie for fans at the time. The cover highlights all the hottest new N64 games, and lists Zelda 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Wipeout 64, Body Harvest, and Turok 2 as the key titles featured within. It also mentions new games from Rare like Perfect Dark and Jet Force Gemini. The magazine boldly declares itself as the only Nintendo 64 magazine worth buying, and there's even a mention of a £5 off voucher for any game or peripheral. Mario is front and center on the cover, grinning away. The next page showcases a couple of adverts and a tempting subscription offer for 64 magazine. Firstly, there's a Blaze advert for the Jolt pack, a 2" 1 Rumble pack, and memory card combo for the N64, boasting a flashing light feature for added immersion and force feedback. It's priced at £14.99 and comes in various colors. Alongside that, there's another Blaze product, the VRF-1 accelerator steering wheel, compatible with PlayStation and Saturn, as well as the N64. Denjari, the main draw, is the 64 magazine subscription deal. For £70, you get 12 issues of the magazine, a free solutions book, and a Nintendo game. They are really pushing the value, claiming a saving of £37. The advert highlights the fantastic games you could be playing, showing screenshots of Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, and Mario Kart 64. As if that wasn't enough, they're also throwing in a free strategy guide. You get to choose between guides for Super Mario 64, Lilat Wars, or GoldenEye. Intriguingly, there's a section called 4Q, which directs you to page 92 for a best-kept secret and a massive money-saving deal, which no doubt links back to this very subscription offer. They're really trying to entice readers with a good package of content and extras. Volume 15 of 64 magazine features articles on upcoming Nintendo games from the E3 show in The Man from Atlanta, page 22, and a look back at N64 games in Son of Retro Rockets, page 32. Be prepared for Buck, page 38, previews Buck Bumble, while BioFreaks, page 44, reviews a new beat-em-up. 64 Showcase, page 06, discusses Nintendo bringing StarCraft to consoles. The letters page, When I'm 64, is on page 12. The games section, page 05, previews games like 12 Tales, Conquer 64, Glover, and Earthworm Jim 3D. Reviews, page 44, covers BioFreaks, Buster Move 2, and others. Nindex, page 92, provides a game index. GameBusters offers cheat codes and tips in sections like Cheat Central, page 62, and focuses on games like Quake, page 74, and World Cup, 98. This issue of the magazine kicks off with skepticism surrounding Nintendo's presence at E3, particularly the neglected 64D. The magazine reports rumors of the 64D's potential cancellation in the West. Next, the magazine gives a brief introduction of the staff and some of their current situations. The PlayStation exclusivity secured by Sony means Activision's Nightmare Creatures will not be released on the N64 in Europe. However, Capcom, initially hesitant, is now developing for the N64 with Street Fighter X mentioned as a possibility. The magazine discusses the Sega Dreamcast, highlighting its potential as a competitor. Additionally, StarCraft is coming to the N64, though multiplayer implementation is a challenge. Finally, News Nuggets reveals that Ubisoft's VR3000 is renamed Scars, Eido's second N64 title is Extreme Sports, and Atari is bringing Gauntlet to the N64. This issue previews Shadowgate 64, Trials of the Four Towers for N64, comparing it to a 3D Zelda game. Rare promotes their websites, highlighting games like Conquer 64 and Perfect Dark. The 64 charts, now run in partnership with Game, show World Cup 98 at number 1, with Mystical Ninja starring Goemon a new entry. A game voucher is included. Rumors circulate about Nintendo selling the 4MB RAM expansion separately, potentially lowering game prices. Cartridge costs are down, with Nintendo aiming to make N64 games more competitive. A correction is made regarding a Forsaken review box out, and an advert for Earthworm Jim 3D, slated for autumn 98, is included. This page is the Game Watch section, delivering the definitive N64 game release dates, courtesy of Department 1, claiming to be the most accurate source for gamers eager to know when to expect new titles. We see screenshots from Twisted Tales, Conquer 64, and Wipeout 64. The right side of the page is dominated by an advert for 64 Solutions magazine, issue number 5, priced at £3.95. It promises ultimate tips and solutions for N64 games, specifically mentioning full solutions for Yoshi's Story, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, WCW vs NWO World Tour, and Quake, along with a complete as of cheats. They highlight their comprehensive approach, fitting everything into one 132-page issue. An order form is included for mail purchases, and their website is paragon.co.uk. Readers share their gaming experiences in the letters section. One reader enjoys GoldenEye's challenge and bunker strategies. An advertisement promotes N64 peripherals. Another letter writer complains about PAL/NTSC speed differences affecting leaderboards. The star letter praises 64 magazine, highlighting GoldenEye and Mario 64, and suggests updates for Mario Kart. The writer also jokes about game delays, and proposes a simplified rating system. Other letters question the score zone, request content geared towards adults, and confirm GoldenEye cheats. A final letter expresses loyalty to British gaming, mentions Yoshi's Story and Mario 64, questions review score adjustments, and queries the rationale behind turning GoldenEye into a racing game. The Ask Andy section answers reader questions about N64 game release dates. WWF Warzone, July, 1080 Snowboarding, November, and International Superstar Soccer 98 September. Other questions cover Mortal Kombat 4, review in the next issue, and Turok 2, more info after E3. Dear 64 magazine addresses scores for existing games, confirms a Top Gear game is in development, and mentions a GoldenEye sequel is unconfirmed. A reader complains about UK game delays due to PAL conversions. White Lines Do It explains, and provides a cheat code to remove white lines in GoldenEye screenshots. Memory Card Losers features letters, including one criticizing Mario Kart 64's score, prompting the magazine to restate the score was lowered to 80%. Finally, a great value advertisement promotes tip book value packs for PlayStation and Nintendo 64, covering games like Tomb Raider 2, GoldenEye, and Mario 64, with order details provided. E3 revealed exciting upcoming N64 titles. 12 Tales, Conquer 64 from Rare, due late 98, promises a unique experience. Players can control Conquer the Squirrel, or Berry the Chipmunk, each with distinct gameplay. It offers action-packed solo play, 2-player co-op, and 4-player deathmatch modes. Hasbro's Glover, arriving winter 98, features a magical glove tasked with retrieving 7 crystals. The first crystal transforms into a ball that must be navigated through 30 levels across 6 diverse worlds. Glover utilizes various moves to manipulate the ball, solving puzzles and overcoming obstacles, with a total of 30 balls to utilize. This page of 64 site in the magazine covers previews of 3 upcoming Nintendo 64 titles. First up is WWF Warzone from Acclaim, scheduled for release in July. It seems they were meant to get an early look, but E3 got in the way. The article highlights custom wrestlers, over 300 moves mirroring the real-life wrestlers, and all the big WWF stars of the time, including The Undertaker, British Bulldog, Bret Hart, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. They even mention hidden fighters to unlock and ringside props for weapons, a proper wrestling game then. Next is Earthworm Jim 3D from Interplay, with a winter 1998 release window. They describe it as a bit weird and bizarre, mental platform action. It's looking very 3D, and the screenshots certainly show a surreal, strange world, quite in keeping with Earthworm Jim's style. Lastly, there's Legend of the River King 64 from Natsume, aiming for an autumn 1998 release. This is a fishing RPG apparently, a curious mix. The RPG element is about finding a mythical fish to save a sister. They mention over 100 different types of fish and realistic details. The screenshots show some fishing action, with different types of fish and underwater environments. It sounds like it's more involved than just a straight fishing sim. Gameplay, a leading UK mail-order supplier, advertises its wide selection of N64 games and accessories. They emphasize price, choice, quality, and service, claiming to be the cheapest for N64 titles. The ad showcases both new and used games, official UK hardware, and accessories like memory cards and cheat devices. Notable items include the N64 console itself, bundles with popular games like Mario Kart 64 and GoldenEye, and even the Virtual Boy. They offer fast delivery, guarantee their products, and have a physical shop in Leeds. The focus is primarily on N64, with a smaller selection of PlayStation titles also available. This E3 report highlights exciting new Nintendo 64 games: Rare's 12 Tales, Conquer 64, a humorous game with diverse gameplay, aims for a 1998 release. Jet Force Gemini, also from Rare, promises explosive action with cooperative and deathmatch modes, planned for 1999. Shadow Man, from Acclaim and Iguana UK, is a dark 3D adventure game, likened to a George Romero film, set for a late 1998 release. Finally, The Legend of Zelda 64, Ocarina of Time, featuring a complete E3 version with English text, is confirmed for a UK Christmas release. The report also includes Hot Stuff Award and Drulometer ratings. E3 showcased a variety of upcoming N64 titles. Konami presented Castlevania, a Tomb Raider-esque action game with vampires, and Hybrid Heaven, featuring mutants. Survivor, Day 1, another Konami title, blends MDK with the Book of Genesis. THQ and Konami's Quest 64, a Mario meets Final Fantasy RPG, has improved combat and English text. Rare's Banjo-Kazooie, a massive adventure game, is compared to Mario. Activision's Quake 2 promises intense deathmatch and single-player levels. GT64 from Ocean and Infogrames offers a racing experience, while Mission Impossible focuses on stealth. F-Zero X from Nintendo delivers high-speed racing. Space Station Silicon Valley features a unique concept of controlling robots, and F1 World Grand Prix offers visually impressive racing. 64 Magazine previews several upcoming N64 games from E3. Rat Attack offers addictive Robotron QX gameplay. Mortal Kombat 4 brings the series to 3D, primarily for fatalities. Micro Machines V3 features toy car racing, while Rush 2, Extreme Racing aims to improve on San Francisco Rush. Milo's Astro Lanes is a trippy bowling game. Gex, Enter the Gecko is a platformer. Superman offers Tomb Raider-esque action but has issues. Roadsters 98 provides a Lamborghini-focused racing experience. Star Wars Rogue Squadron delivers aerial combat, promising to be a highlight for fans. Virtual Chess 64 is a 3D chess game. The Hot Stuff section highlights Perfect Dark, Rare's GoldenEye follow-up, set in the future with a secret agent protagonist, promising impressive visuals and action. The 64 Magazine E3 report previews several upcoming N64 titles. Racing games include the poorly reviewed Cruisin' World, October, Off-Road Challenge, July, Top Gear Overdrive, late 1998, and NASCAR, autumn 1998. Sports titles include NFL Blitz, September, WCW NWO Revenge, winter 1998, Major League Baseball, current, Mike Piazza's Strike Zone, July, and Wyllie Country Club, July. Action games include Knife Edge, October, a shooter, Buck Bumble, September, a B-based shooter, Fighting Force 64, winter 1998, a Double Dragon-style game, and the hyped, ultra-violent Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, November 1998. Other titles include Shadowgate 64, 1999, a dungeon crawler, Tonic Trouble, November, a platformer, and Glover, winter 1998, a puzzle platformer. E3 showcased several upcoming N64 titles. Psygnosis's Wipeout 64, a racing game with music from Fluke and the Chemical Brothers, was considered good but only 30% complete. Body Harvest, a 3D action RPG from Gremlin/DMA, promised alien bug battles. Psygnosis also presented OT, a Tomb Raider-esque RPG. Acclaim's Iggy's Wrecking Balls, a racing game with ball characters, was also featured. Twisted Edge Snowboarding from Kemco/Boss was slated for September. Esports showcased John Madden, NFL 99, and NBA Live 99, with improved graphics, and NHL 99, with quick start gameplay. Coming soon included Revolt, Rugrats and Penny Racers. Snippets revealed Activision's Nightmare Creatures as Us Only, a Konami Gomon sequel, and a possible Silent Summer story, while Psygnosis denied a Formula One game. Crystal Dynamics hinted at PlayStation conversions. A no sign of Atspor section listed numerous missing games from various developers. Son of Retro Rockets revisits Nintendo 64 game reviews from early issues. Super Mario 64 slightly declined but remains top tier. Wave Race 64 dropped due to PAL issues. Doom 64's score fell as it was overshadowed, while Cruisin' USA was deemed rubbish. Shadows of the Empire aged, and Mario Kart 64's two-player limit was noted. Pilotwings 64 lost focus. Lylat Wars, Star Fox 64 held up well. FIFA 64 remained poor, while Blast Corps was still strong. NBA Hangtime and Turok, Dinosaur Hunter declined. Mortal Kombat Trilogy was considered dull. Issue 3 featured War Gods and The Glory of St. Andrews, both scoring low. Is this 64 improved and remained a top football game? Doraemon was dismissed. Keveras, Issue 4 revisited Dark Rift and Hexen, both remaining mediocre. Retro Rockets revisits N64 reviews, revealing fluctuating opinions over time. GoldenEye remains highly regarded. Some games, like F1 Pole Position and Automobili Lamborghini, decline due to their arcade-like nature or repetitiveness. Clay Fighter 63 1/3 is now harshly criticized. Diddy Kong Racing, while still good, saw a slight dip in appeal. Mischief Makers is now considered even more enjoyable. NFL Quarterback Club 98 and Duke Nukem 64 hold their own. Multi-Racing Championship and G-League Dynamite Soccer suffered significant drops. Mortal Kombat Mythologies faced a brutal reassessment. FIFA, Road to World Cup 98 is still decent. San Francisco Rush is let down by controls. Dual Heroes is now a multiplayer laugh. Bombermen 64 and WCW vs NWO World Tour maintain their fun factor. Wild Choppers remains decent. This Retro Rockets Lookback revisits N64 game reviews from issues 10, 11 and 12. Issue 10 features Yoshi's Story, 79%, criticized for recycling ideas, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98, now just see Wayne Gretzky's, Art of Fighting Twin, an okay fighter, Chameleon Twist, unmemorable, and Nagano Winter Olympics. Issue 11 covers Robotron 64, still excellent, Tamagotchi World, yesterday's fad, Snowboard Kids, still fun, but possibly outdone by Nintendo's 1080 degrees snowboarding, and Fighter's Destiny, still the best N64 fighter. Issue 12 reviews SimCity 2000, dated, NBA Pro 98, inferior to NBA Courtside, NHL Breakaway 98, still better than Wayne Gretzky, 1080 degrees snowboarding, lacks spark, Olympic Hockey 98, another Wayne Gretzky clone, Brave Spirits Wrestling, inferior to WCW vs NWO, and Wheel of Fortune, worthless. This page is a feature article titled, Be Prepared for Buck, from Argonaut, focusing on their new N64 game, Buck Bumble. It's described as a Star Fox-style 3D shoot, em-up with attitude. The article mentions Argonaut's history, referencing their previous games, Starglider and Starglider 2, and the platformer Croc. The piece details a visit to Argonaut's offices to see Buck Bumble, and introduces designer Anna Lark, and producers Keith Sloan and Nick Clark. There are screenshots of the game showing Buck Bumble in action, battling wasp enemies, and navigating 3D environments. Nick explains the game's concept of the herd, which are bigger insects than swarms. Carl Graham is also quoted, highlighting the desire to create something larger than just a swarm. There's a section called Close to the Edit, where lead designer Simon Keating talks about using a special editor for level design in Buck Bumble. He explains how they can manipulate the landscape, place enemies, waypoints, and pickups within the editor, emphasizing its flexibility, and how it evolved from a test tool into a powerful development asset. He mentions designing levels on paper first and then implementing them in the editor. The article also notes the sound design, mentioning the sound of a WW-2 fighter aircraft going down when a wasp is defeated. Buck Bumble's next feature delves into its music and level design. Composer Justin Charvona sought a futuristic, hard-edged soundtrack, drawing from speed garage, techno, and jungle, even featuring vocals by MC Sisko. The game features 20 levels across diverse environments, starting in a garden and progressing to darker, alien landscapes, culminating in the Queen's Lair. Gameplay is a 3D shoot-'em-up with enemies from all angles, featuring pickups and ammo. Keith Sloan emphasizes its hard-edge style, distinct from typical Nintendo aesthetics. Bonus missions are unlocked by collecting golden fleas. The article highlights gameplay demonstrations, emphasizing the difficulty and Buck Bumble's large size. Screenshots showcase gameplay and environmental details, including the Evil Herd portal. This page showcases a feature on the Nintendo 64 game Buck Bumble, diving into the hardware, which is the weapon selection. It mentions the weapons range from weak to powerful, and some are more effective against certain enemy types. They list weapons like the Stinger, plasma pistol, frag cannon, cluster bomb, exosect launcher, spiker, HGS-2000, electroprojector, pulse laser and fusion cannon, giving a brief description of each cannon. There's also a section called The Crew, introducing the development team with a photo and names. Nick Clark, Juan Garcia, Keith Weatherly, Carl Graham, Adam Hill, Tom Nettleship, Richard Griffiths, Justin Charvona, Simon Keating, Giles Fordcrush, Anna Lark, Karen Griffin and Adam Fothergill, listing their roles such as producer, artists, programmers and sound engineers. The article discusses enemy intelligence in the game, with developer Nick mentioning that some enemies will attack directly, while others are more strategic, requiring the player to hunt them down. Another point is about weapon ammo, clarifying that picking up a gun for the first time also grants ammo, and subsequent pickups increase ammo. The game's progression is highlighted as becoming more eerie and dark and nasty, starting in a garden and moving to more sinister environments as you advance. Screenshots show in-game action and environments, reinforcing the darker tone and the size of the character Buck Bumble in relation to the world. This page features a review for BioFreaks on the N64, calling it another decent beat-em-up, and an intelligent one at that. The game's storyline is briefly touched upon, mentioning corporate warfare and superpowered beings fighting it out. The review highlights the game's gameplay, which is said to be similar to Mortal Kombat with excessive gore and great fight sequences, but also borrows from Virtua Fighter, with a bit of its own style. It mentions different modes like Practice, Arcade, VS, and Survival. The page introduces two characters, Zipperhead, described as a freak class, retro character who has replaced forearms with cybernetics and uses buzzsaw blades, and Bullseye, a freak class, Syntoid prototype soldier clone with heavy implants and machine guns. There is also a mention of a mysterious character called Clonus. The review praises the interactive arenas and the variety of special moves for each character, from projectiles to napalm and machine guns, but notes, this can lead to players focusing too much on ranged attacks. The memory options are listed as supporting the controller pack for saving game progress and settings. The review box at the side lists positive points, such as beautiful backdrops, detailed characters, gory moves and intelligent gameplay. BioFreaks is a beat-em-up featuring grotesque characters and extreme violence. The review highlights several characters: Cyclown, a deranged Syntoid, Minitech, a monstrous dozer, and Sabotage, a scantily clad bounty hunter. The game boasts impressive gore, with limb removal and blood effects. The review praises BioFreaks for requiring strategy beyond simple button mashing, emphasizing the need for special moves. It suggests experienced, beat-em-up players will recognize the skill required, while newcomers can still enjoy it initially. The game's unique features include weapons with weaknesses, making combat dynamic. Despite initial concerns, the weapons and over-the-top violence work well. The review concludes that BioFreaks is a fast-paced and exciting game, urging players to embrace the challenge and learn special moves to progress. R64 magazine reviews BioFreaks, highlighting its diverse character roster. Purge, a retro freak, wields biodrive chips and blades. Sapo, a mutate retro, boasts a massive arm-mounted weapon. Delta, a Syntoid, is a swift swordsman with wings. The review details standard N64 controller mappings, and recommends alternatives like Fighter's Destiny and Mace, The Dark Age. BioFreaks receives an 82% rating, earning green ticks for graphics, audio, gameplay, and lasting challenge. A second opinion enthusiastically praises the combat and comparing it to a bloody fighter. Soundbites declare it an intelligent beat-em-up. The review also mentions unique blood colors and impressive lava effects. Bust-A-Move 2 for the N64, despite being available on other platforms, receives a 64 Superb award. The review praises its addictive gameplay, comparing it to crack cocaine, and highlights its simple yet engaging mechanics. Players, controlling small dragons, fire bubbles to create matches. The game is virtually identical to the PlayStation and Saturn versions, which is a downside given their lower cost. The review suggests that owners of those versions might not need this N64 port. The review showcases two-player action, bizarre characters, and a history lesson on the franchise's roots in Bubble Bobble. The game saves scores to the controller pack. While it boasts colorful graphics and a brilliant two-player mode, the review notes the game doesn't fully utilize the N64's capabilities, featuring large borders, Despite these drawbacks, the review concludes that Bust-A-Move 2 is still damn good fun. This page carries on with the review of Bust-A-Move 2, elaborating on the simple plot and highlighting the single-player Bob-A-Job mode, which offers a slightly different take on the gameplay. The control scheme is clearly explained using the N64 controller buttons, detailing aiming and firing bubbles, and the alternatives like Puyo Puyo Sun 64 and Tetrisphere are suggested for puzzle fans. The game receives strong ratings across graphics, audio, gameplay and lasting challenge, marked with the 64 magazine N logos, culminating in a fantastic 91% overall score. Turning the page, we see cheat codes under sections titled 64 Power Cheats for the N64 and PSX Power Cheats for the PlayStation. These are helpfully categorized by genre, offering codes for shoot-em-ups, which includes titles like GoldenEye and Lilat Wars, beat-em-ups such as Mortal Kombat and Mace, racing games like Diddy Kong Racing, and platform and sports games with examples such as Mario 64. Similar cheat categories are provided for PlayStation titles too, covering various genres. There's also a small special stars tip for Bust-A-Move 2 players, offering advice on using those special bubbles. And to finish, there's a soundbite quote reminding everyone that the old games are often the best. Bomberman Hero, an action game for the Nintendo 64, is reviewed here. It was an import costing £59.99, featuring 4 save slots and no controller pack support. The game boasts imaginative enemies, improved control, small levels, and infinite continues, but is criticized for lacking multiplayer and being a standard platformer. The review humorously depicts the gameplay through screenshots and captions, emphasizing the game's action-packed nature and light-hearted tone. Hudson Soft aimed to improve on Bomberman 64, focusing on camera control, level design and puzzles, but opted out of a multiplayer mode. The story involves rescuing Queen Million, with Bomberman portrayed as a terrorist version of Mario. The camera angle is adjustable. The review suggests a flat learning curve, with level design avoiding camera obstructions. The game includes diverse gameplay elements, referencing previous Bomberman titles. The next page is a review for Bomberman Hero, calling it Power Extreme. They're saying it's like a transformation from the usual Bomberman puzzle games into platformers. They're joking about Bomberman being a terrorist version of Mario. The review highlights screenshots showing gameplay, including underwater and flying sections with different vehicles, and they're making light of the story about rescuing Queen Million. They're saying it's a bit too easy, describing it as devoid of real challenge, and lemon squeezy, suggesting even a rhino could play it. They mention it's simple to get into, and controls are easy, but it lacks challenge overall. Heyoa. Control-wise, they show the N64 controller layout, noting L and D PAD are unused, R is for bomb, B throws bombs, A is jump, C buttons control the camera and bomb dropping, and Z detonates time bombs. Decare. They give it an overall score of 52%. The graphics and audio get 4 out of 5 stars, but gameplay and lasting challenge only get 3 out of 5. There's a second opinion from Roy Kimber who says it plays smoother than previous Bomberman games, but is still a bit samey. They also have a soundbite saying it's as easy as a 5 pi. Alternatives mentioned are Super Mario 64 and Bomberman 64, both Nintendo games priced at £49.99, with previous review scores listed. Aerogauge, a hovercar racing game for the N64, is criticized for lacking originality, drawing comparisons to Wipeout and Extreme G. The review highlights clumsy controls and uninspired track design, described as rocks, cheap sci-fi gridwork, and lurid neon lights. While it features hidden tracks and extra cars, the game struggles to maintain interest. The review awards graphics and audio a respectable 4 out of 5, but gameplay and lasting challenge only receive 3. Overall, Aerogauge earns a harsh 40%. The game's standard N64 control layout is detailed. Memory pack functionality is limited to saving records and ghost data. PAL performance mirrors the import version. A second opinion from Roy Kimber echoes the sentiment of speed without enjoyment. The game, developed by Locomotive, was already released for £60. Aero Fighter's Assault for the N64, published by Paradigm, receives a scathing review. The game supports 1 to 4 players and utilizes rumble and memory packs. Critics, including fictional characters like 7 of 9, the kids from South Park, and Phoebe from Friends, universally pan the game for poor level design, controls, and boring gameplay. A satirical Tony Blair quote, further mocks the game's low quality. The UK import suffers from significant borders and choppy performance. The Kaboom section notes the explosions as the only redeeming quality. The overall rating is a dismal 20%. Roy Kimber retracts his previous 61% rating, calling the game rubbish. The controls are standard N64, with alternatives like pilot wings and wild choppers suggested. Screenshots display various in-game moments, yet the review concludes the game is a disappointment. This 64 magazine page focuses on cheat codes for N64 games. It begins with a 3-page guide for World Cup '98, offering tips to dominate the game. Next, it provides codes for Kobe Bryant in NBA courtside, including how to unlock hidden teams and use replay features. Clay Fighter 63 and a third Sculptor's Cut is also featured, giving the secret character codes despite the game's perceived quality. Finally, it concludes with a guide for Quake 64, detailing secrets and strategies. On the right, a large advert promotes Guide to World Cup '98, a magazine promising extensive coverage of the 1998 World Cup, including statistics, team details, and a free book. This page of 64 magazine dives into more cheat codes, this time moving on from the World Cup to some proper punch-ups in Biofreaks. They've got a rundown of one-hit fatality moves for a bunch of the characters like Minitech, Sapo, Delta, Purge, Cyclown, Zipperhead, Sabotage and Bullseye, each with their button combos. They've even included the taunt move and a code to get a first-person view in the game. There are screenshots showing these brutal moves in action. Flipping over to the right side of the page, there are a couple of adverts for game shops. Skill is advertising us Nintendo 64 consoles for £139.99 and lists a load of N64 games like Mario 64, GoldenEye, Diddy Kong Racing, and Mystical Ninja, all with prices. On the Edge is having a stock clearance on USA titles like Top Gear Rally and Mace the Dark Age. Down at the bottom, Madeira Games is advertising imports N64 consoles, PlayStation and Saturn bits and bobs. They're pushing a US N64 for £139 and an N64 video CD player for £245, mentioning they sell controllers, memory cards, and even offer PlayStation and Saturn games too. The Score Zone in 64 magazine showcases top scores and times for N64 games. Featured games include GoldenEye across numerous levels, Wave Race, Star Fox 64, and Mario Kart 64 with a range of tracks. Other games include Top Gear Rally, Diddy Kong Racing, Extreme G, Mischief Makers, Chameleon Twist, Shadows of the Empire, Tetrasphere, Fighter's Destiny, Mario 64, Nagano Winter Olympics, and Turok. Players are encouraged to submit their scores with proof for a chance to be featured and win prizes, like a Trident pad and memory card from Logic 3. This page delves into the tactics of World Cup '98 on the N64, a proper footy game back in the day. It highlights the in-game management system, or IGM, which lets you switch between 3 preset formations, a balanced 442, an attacking 334, and a defensive 532. The page also runs through some special tactics you can use during a match, like a wing-back run to get players bombing down the flanks, a through-ball run to try and split the defense, attacking pressure to hustle the opposition, and an offside trap to catch them out. There's a training camp section with general tips on things like corners, sprinting, player fatigue, and also explains key skills like heading, passing and volleying with button presses and gameplay advice. All good stuff to get the edge in your next match. This page continues the playing guide, this time focusing on skills for World Cup '98. It talks about one-touch passing, different defensive tactics, and how to take penalties and beat the keeper. There's also a section on skill moves, showing you how to do things like a 360 spin, rainbow kick, flick over, sidestep, step over nutmeg, jump and double step over moves to bamboozle your opponents. Moving over, there's an advert for Visions, a game shop offering new and used games, and they do game exchange. Next to that is an ad for New Age consoles, listing import consoles and games for both N64 and PlayStation, mentioning titles like F-Zero X, 1080 Snowboarding, Banjo and Kazooie, Forsaken, Tekken 3, Parasite Eve and Dead or Alive. Looks like you could get a PlayStation chipped too, for imports. Chora! Right at the bottom there's an advert for something called Online Paragon, which seems to be about internet and paranormal stuff. Not really games related, but there you go. This advertisement from 1998 showcases various accessories and games for the Nintendo 64. A competition offered Mad Catz steering wheels and GT Club 64. The page highlights fast delivery and free UK postage. Featured accessories include Mad Catz steering wheels, N64 cables, and action replay cartridges. Games like GoldenEye 007, Banjo-Kazooie, and Mystical Ninja are listed, with bundle deals and special offers. Accessories, such as soft character toys, Maxim speakers, and a wide variety of controllers, official and third-party, are also advertised. Rumble parks are prominent, and miscellaneous items like cleaning kits, adapters, and carry cases are available. A special offer for a Game Boy Pocket with a poster or Tetris concludes the ad. This page provides a walkthrough for Level 8 of Quake 64, the Ogre Citadel. It's part 2 of a mapped solution, continuing from the previous issue. There's a detailed map of the level, showing the layout, secrets, and item locations. The walkthrough guides players through the level step by step, starting from the beginning and detailing how to navigate passages, activate switches, and defeat enemies like fiends, ogres, knights, and zombies. It also points out locations of secrets within the level, specifically Secret 1, 2, and 3, with accompanying screenshots showing what these secret areas look like in the game. There are icon keys explaining what symbols mean on the map, covering weapons and ammo like shotguns and grenade launchers, map features such as lifts and switches, keys like gold and silver keys and power-ups. The map key itself explains the color coding used, differentiating between ground, water, slime, lava, and secret areas. This page is the next part of the Quake 64 walkthrough, this time for Level 9, the Crypt of Decay. It gives you the level password right at the top there, 59K93VX203 Bridge 5Q9N, useful if you're jumping straight to this level, I suppose. It's a proper mapped solution showing you the route through the level and pointing out secrets. The walkthrough itself starts by telling you to ride the lift up and then blast the Ogre and Death Knight on the bridge. Standard Quake stuff really. It guides you through corridors, hitting switches, and dealing with the usual nasties like zombies and more Death Knights, leading you to the gold key and then onto the exit. There are details on finding 4 secrets, creatively named Secret 1, 2, 3, and 4, and also areas called Well of Wishes and Secret Level the Under Earth, each with a little screenshot to give you a clue. Secret 1 involves jumping into water, Secret 2 requires shooting a wall after getting the gold key, Secret 3 is about splattering zombies, and Secret 4 involves shooting a switch on the ceiling near the Shambler's chair. The Well of Wishes is a tricky health-filled area, and the secret level, the Under Earth, well, that's the proper secret level entrance unlocked by finding all these bits and bobs. All in all, a handy guide to get you through this crypt level in Quake 64. The next page continues the Quake 64 walkthrough, now onto Level 10, the Wizard's Manse. Right at the top, you've got the password for this level, 55, Re5, CD, GKZ, BRQBD7. This is a full walkthrough, map included, guiding you through the level step by step, from collecting items at the start, battling ogres and fiends, navigating toxic pools, and finding the gold key. It details how to get through the level, dealing with various enemies like Scrags and more ogres along the way. There are also instructions on finding 2 secrets in this level. Secret 1 involves jumping into water to the right of a bridge, after dealing with a fiend, leading to a lift and some shells. Secret 2, found after getting the gold key, requires shooting a wall at the top of the stairs to reveal a hidden door, leading to a quad damage and red armor. So, another helpful guide for getting through another tricky level in Quake 64. The next page continues the Quake 64 guide, now tackling Level 11, the Dismal Oubliette. The password for this one is helpfully provided, 51ReVD6, QG57, JNDFY. This walkthrough guides you from the start, advising you to grab items and deal with an ogre right away. It then takes you through activating switches to raise platforms across a pool, dealing with Vors and ogres as you progress through the level. It mentions navigating through corridors, using lifts, and taking on Death Knights and zombies. There are also details on finding 2 secrets in this level. Secret 1 involves jumping into the water to the left of a lift and swimming underneath to find a quad damage rune. Secret 2 is located on the 2nd floor above a gold door. You need to find a darkened entrance, which leads to a mega health, pentagram of protection, and some extra ammunition. As with the previous level, there's a map provided to help navigate the Dismal Oubliette and find your way through the tricky bits. Level 12 of Quake 64, the Underneath, begins on a bridge, battling ogres, and progresses into a castle filled with scrags and death knights. The guide advises grenades for crowd control against zombies. Navigation involves corridors, lifts, and switches, leading to the gold key. Enemies continue to appear as you use the key and face more enemies. You'll need to activate switches and navigate slime ledges and nail traps. Drutty. Secret 1 is a hidden area near the gold door containing quad damage. Secret 2, under the slime near the gold door, grants access to a biosuit and red armor after a dive. The level includes a map and screenshots to aid your progress. Chang. The next page presents the walkthrough for level 13 of Quake 64, titled Termination Central, and helpfully gives you the password 5-Staradian-9-TDFGVQBRJBCT should you need it. The walkthrough guides you from the start, advising you to grab the super shotgun and navigate using the lift. It details combat against grunts, using radioactive canisters to your advantage, and progressing through corridors and stairs, collecting armor and nail guns along the way. The guide also covers activating switches, crossing bridges, and eventually reaching the exit. A map of level 13 is included, clearly marking the layout and key locations. Furthermore, the page reveals secrets 4 and 5 of this level. Secret 4 is found beneath the gold key location and yields a quad damage rune from a dark ledge, achievable without jumping. Secret 5 is accessed by jumping onto boxes near Secret 4 and the gold door, revealing a hidden door and a mega health in a secret area. This page showcases the walkthrough for level 14 of Quake 64, the Vaults of Zin, and gives you the password 5NRWQJYGGVBRGBFL for easy access if you need it. The guide walks you through from the start, instructing you to head straight for the silver key, then deal with the zombies that appear. It details navigating through corridors, activating switches to open gates, and battling ogres and zombies in lava-filled rooms. The guide mentions using lifts to reach different levels, and strategically using ledges to take out enemies like the Shambler. You'll be collecting keys, grabbing super shotguns, and progressing through portals to exit the level. A map of level 14 is included, clearly marking the level's layout. On top of the main walkthrough, there are details on finding Secret 1 by shooting a wall after dealing with fiends, leading to a portal and a ring of shadows. Secret 2 is found by turning around after activating the silver key door switch, revealing another portal to rockets and shotgun shells. Finally, Secret 3 is accessed by jumping over a gap near the silver door and turning right, netting you a grenade launcher and mega health after dealing with some zombies. This page is an advert for Department 1, a shop specializing in Nintendo 64 games and hardware. They're pushing the N64 console as new for £89.99 and offer a buy, sell and exchange service. You can see they've got a stack of games listed, both new and second-hand for the UK, USA, and even Japanese consoles. Games like Banjo-Kazooie, Mission Impossible, Forsaken 64, FIFA 98 and World Cup 98 are name-checked. They even do Game Boy stuff and console repairs, and boast a 3-month guarantee. Seems like a proper old-school game shop with a phone number and even a fax for orders. They're based in Suffolk House, London if you fancy popping in. This page is all about back issues and subscriptions for 64 magazine. They're advertising the first 14 issues, although quite a few are already sold out, typical. Issue 1 was all about Mario 64 and Wave Race, Issue 2 covered Star Fox and Blast Corps, and Issue 3 was Mission Impossible. Issue 4 featured Banjo-Kazooie and GoldenEye, and Issue 5 had Extreme G and Gomon. They're pushing subscriptions with a mega deal, where you can choose a free game with a 12-issue sub for £40. Your choices are Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, or Mario Kart 64, not bad games there. There's also a separate offer for just the magazine, 6 issues for £15 or 12 for £30, and a mega 12-issue deal with a game and a hints and tips book for £70. Right at the bottom, there's the order form for back issues and subscriptions, asking for your details and payment method. Looks like you could pay by check or credit card. Pretty standard stuff for getting your mags back then. The 64 Nindex reviews a range of N64 games. 1080 Degrees Snowboarding gets 80%, praised for polished controls and graphics despite limited courses. Aero Fighters Assault, 61%, and Aero Gauge, 47%, are poorly received. Airborder scores 80%, a divisive hoverboard sim. Art of Fighting Twin, 72%, is a decent beat-em-up. Automobili Lamborghini gets 68% for its 4-player mode. Blast Corps, Bomberman 64, and Extreme G each receive 80%. Brave Spirits Wrestling scores 65%. Chameleon Twist gets 64%, while Clayfighter 63 1/3 is a disastrous 8%. Cruisin' USA 22%, Dark Rift 47%, and Doraemon 30% also get low marks. Diddy Kong Racing is highly rated, 86%, as is Duke Nukem 64, 84%, F1 Pole Position, and FIFA 64 are poor, getting 63% and 20% respectively. FIFA Road to World Cup 98, 80%, and Fighters Destiny, 80%, are much better. Forsaken is the top scorer, with 93%, while Doom 64 gets 70%. This page reviews various N64 games. Standouts include the near-perfect GoldenEye, 95%, hailed as a classic and mystical ninja starring Goemon, 85%, praised for its improved English translation. Lylat Wars/Star Fox 64, 88%, is a graphical showcase. Mario Kart 64, 78%, is fun but flawed, while ISS 64, 93%, remains the best football game. Games like The Glory of St. Andrews, 10%, and Jeopardy! 30%, are critically panned. GASP, Fighters Next Dream, Killer Instinct Gold, and Mace, The Dark Age, all 70%, offer mixed experiences. Sports games NBA Courtside, 85%, and NHL Breakaway, 98-85%, are recommended, while John Madden, 64, 76%, and NFL Quarterback Club, 98-80%, are solid. Mario Kart 64 is still a recommended multiplayer experience. This review covers a range of Nintendo 64 games. Standouts include Super Mario 64, 92%, lauded as a revolutionary title, and World Cup 98-93%, a significant leap in football games. Quake, 88%, impressed with its graphics, while Wave Race 64, 83%, Snowboard Kids, 83%, and WCW vs NWO World Tour, 83%, all earned high marks. Other notable titles include Puyo Puyo Sun, 64, 87%, Top Gear Rally, 85%, and Robotron, 64, 81%. Less successful games include Shadows of the Empire, 58%, SimCity 2000, 60%, and The Abysmal War Gods, 40%. Several games like Turok, Pilotwings 64, and Yoshi's Story offered decent experiences, but didn't reach the highest echelons. The next issue of 64 magazine heavily promotes Mortal Kombat 4 with the first full review. It also previews Quest 64, Holy Magic Century, GT 64, and several baseball games. An info section provides contact and staff details. Special Reserve Direct Mail Order advertises a Nintendo 64 limited edition bundle for £99.99, including a gold controller and RF lead. A Fire Pack with an extra controller and memory card is available for £129.99. Various N64 games are listed with reduced prices. They offer 0% pay in 9 months on orders over £200. Special Reserve membership costs £6 annually, offering 10 issues of Club 64 magazine, cheat points, and a free gift. A 10% discount on mail orders is available through August 1998. A subscription form encourages readers not to miss the magazine.